So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to my Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus unboxing and first impressions. Now, this is going to be the middle phone between the ones we already covered, the smaller S23 and the S23 Ultra, just a simple premium black box here. For the device, you can see not much in the package. You have an S23 Plus, which is the main shebang. We do have a SIM ejection tool there. We do have the USB-C to USB-C cable, a quick start guide, terms and conditions. So not a major difference between the other boxes. One thing you will notice though, between both of these phones, or all of these phones, is that they have a little bit smaller boxes than before. In addition to that, they do have these little pictures with the color that signifies the color of the phone. So that's how you'll know this is the Phantom Black colorway. That's the one I went with here. So you'll see, just like the other box, just a Samsung card in there. When you do open this up, you are going to find yourself pretty much the same thing you found in the other phone: SIM card tool, one cable, a quick start guide. Yeah, this stuff is kind of boring. I don't got time. Well, maybe we have a little time to check this out, but that's about it. You can see right here, it's covered up as if to say you bought a premium Samsung phone. Look how they cover it up. You can't even see it. It's so premium. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull the card off and stop playing around. And here is the Galaxy S23 Plus. Now, we'll do the sticker pull. Actually, we'll just leave the mic where it's at because I think you'll still hear this, but one time in that phone's life, and that's it. That's all she wrote right there for this device. Now let's go ahead and boot it up and we'll talk a little bit about this. So this one is going to give you a bigger display versus the Galaxy S23. It's like that 6.6, 6.7 inch range. So a lot like a iPhone Max device, but not quite as big as the Ultra phone. But this is also lighter than that phone as well. So that's pretty good. Now, when you are picking this phone up, keep in mind you are going to be getting just a Full HD Plus screen. So you are giving up a super sharp resolution on this phone. So think about that. Make sure that's not a thing for you, because there are phones in this price range that do give you much higher pixel density. So we're just going to skip this stuff for now. Now you'll see right here, we do have multiple ways to unlock this phone. You can unlock through the punch hole Infinity O camera, or you can go through fingerprint, which is what I will do. That's the most secure way. Pin, password, pattern. I'm going to skip these for the video, but you got those options. You also then sign into your Samsung account. That's the only thing about Samsung phones. You kind of got to do their stuff and Google stuff to get in. So it's like kind of two things, but it still doesn't take too long. And now we are in the phone. All right, so I'm going to just change out the gestures really quick to the swipe gestures. You can also hide the hint down there if you want to. But let's go ahead and take a look at the storage out of the box before I install anything, because I didn't even sign in, so there would be no backups. This is like the pure storage right out of the box. And you can see that the phone itself takes up 38 gigabytes. So it's not a true 256 gig. And yes, by the way, if you didn't pre-order, you're going to get the 256 gig base. That's what I picked up here. Sometimes there's going to be some deals, so look out for those. But right now, if you missed a pre-order, you're going to have to pay a little more for the 512 gigabyte. I missed a pre-order by like 1 day, which kind of is lame, but I missed it on this one right here. So the Galaxy S23 Plus also gives you premium edges on the phone. So, quite similar to a stainless steel you'll find on some competitor. I think you know who I'm talking about, but not overly premium. It's still aluminum. It's like a shiny aluminum. Still feels nice, still feels very good. But you're going to have a case on this anyway. It's just not as heavy. You can tell it's aluminum just by the weight of the phone. Now, they did change the camera design. It doesn't have that, S22 like where it kind of spills over the edge. It's just purely the cameras now. It's a pretty clean look. And I just kind of like the way it looks here, especially because there's no thing on the side. Like on the S23 Ultra, we do have some cameras off to the side, which I think looks a little odd. But with this one, it's just clean 3 cameras straight down. So pretty nice. Doesn't really look like a traffic light as much anymore. You can see the back, still a really nice material. So that's very good. Etched glass, Samsung right there. But see, it's not just the looks of the phone that is really improved here. with this one or the other Galaxy phones. What it is the internals. Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 on this phone, coupled with 8 gigabytes of RAM. You have yourself a very powerful CPU, much more smooth than last year with 5.1 One UI. And with Android 13 on board, and updates for years to come, you have yourself a much smoother experience than when we started out last year. Let's take a look at the wallpapers here. What I mean is that last year's phone also not really laggy at all, but this time it's going to be even more powerful. Let's go ahead and put, how about this one right here on the device? So you can see that you have that. You also have these different graphical wallpapers. You can put, these come to all Samsung phones in the One UI. Then also, if you go ahead and hold down here and you go to change wallpapers, you can do that there. You can also go to the theme store. It's not going to show because I'm not connected to Wi-Fi. You have a ton of widgets on here with One UI. And then if you go into settings, you can change your grids out. We'll talk more about all the feature sets here. You also have the Edge panel over here, even on the S23 Plus. So you're still getting most of the Samsung feature set that you would want. And just look at the animations, just buttery smooth. You can also go down here. You can do some auto optimizations when needed. You have diagnostics right there. Maintenance mode as well. There's a lot going on for you here with this phone. In addition, you can change a lock screen clock as well. So this clock is customizable. You can click that and it'll show you some notifications. So we have a lot going on with this phone here. It's going to be a pretty fun device if you haven't tried out Samsung before. So the Galaxy S23 Plus does come with a triple 50 megapixel plus 12 megapixel. Plus it does have a 3x optical zoom and a 30x space zoom. We also have a 10 megapixel telephoto and a front 12 megapixel camera. So we do have pretty nice overall cameras. Again, I'm going to save all the main content for the full review, but let's just take a look here. Man, the saturation is just stunning. These photos are so clear and vibrant. This is like, it's pretty nice. Like when you just take a photo in good lighting, you're going to be so happy. They can do really good low light too, but cameras are always better in better lighting. And you'll see that, the results are just, they make me happy. Like when I take a photo, I'm like, I don't got to do much, just looks good. And here's where the Samsung S23 series is the king. It's the versatility. So you can go between 50 megapixel if you want. But when you go to more, take a look at all the features. Pro mode, pro video, night mode, food mode. It's loaded with features. And then if you go to the photo modes, you have the ultra wide and you can go up to 30 times zoom. So it's a very versatile camera setup. And not only that, when you go to video here, let's go ahead and flip it back to the back. When you go to video, you can go all the way up to 8K at 30. That's more video resolution than you'll ever need. So you're not really skimping out on camera. Pretty good front facing as well. You're not really skimping out too much on camera, even if you go with the Galaxy S23 Plus. So still a pretty good option for you here with this device, even in the camera department. Now, Samsung does also have a 4,700 milliamp hour battery, which I'll have to put through its paces before the review. But I can tell you right now, that is a pretty sizable battery. And with only a full HD plus panel, we should be seeing a pretty strong battery life on this particular model. This has usually been the one that has some of the better battery life. And especially if you start optimizing it correctly and stuff like that, you should be able to get through easily a full day with the S23 Plus. So yeah, let's wrap it up here. I'll do some comparisons, show you this next to some other phones, but my overall first impressions are it's premium, it's refined over some of the prior Plus models, but it's not overly special. It's just a big, really good, nice Galaxy phone. And I think you'll really enjoy that if you want a flat display. You don't want curved edges. You don't want curved screen. You don't want to you just want a flat screen. It's got a nice aspect ratio, so it's wide enough. It's lightweight, good battery life, versatile camera setup, and the price point is in line with, the iPhone 14 Pro. So giving you a bigger screen for the money with a similar triple camera. Although if you want the ultra, camera, you got to go to the Samsung S23 Ultra. So do keep that in mind. Trade-in value is not as generous this year, but let's take a look at this phone next to some other phones. The iPhone 14 Plus. So the 14 Plus definitely feels bigger It definitely kind of has a heavier feel to it as well, even though it's not a heavy iPhone. It's one of the lighter iPhones. The camera's on the back, dual camera versus triple camera. The 14 Plus is cheaper to start, but that's for a reason. I mean, the phone doesn't have as many features as the S23 Plus, but overall, once you start stacking in the storage for the iPhone 14 Plus, it's similar price point. So this is a quite good comparison. We'll probably do that one later on. How about the 14 Pro? The 14 Pro actually starts at the same exact price. You get a dynamic island, a smaller display. Triple cameras are similar, although I would say the 14 Pro is going to have the more higher end cameras than the S23 Plus. You would have to compare this to the S23 Ultra, because this is still a boss. This is still the full-blown high-end camera setup. So you'll be kind of sacrificing the absolute best cameras to get a little bit bigger screen at the same price if you decided to pick this over the 14 Pro. How about the iPhone 13 Pro Max? So these phones actually, to me, are much closer in feel than like the 14 Plus. They have similar backs. Both of them do have, triple camera setups, OLED displays, both super smooth 120 hertz. And by the way, that's another benefit to this over the 14 Plus, 120 hertz. But if you have the iPhone 13 Pro Max, I don't think this is a big upgrade. I probably wouldn't do it. It's just a similar type of phone, but it's just Samsung. So if you wanted to try Samsung, maybe, but it's just a similar type of device. It's just a different brand. And then how about we take a look again at the S23 Ultra? You can see a much more sleek, smaller design on the S23 Plus, so that's noticeable. But if you want the absolute smallest design, you got to go over here to the Galaxy S23. The smaller S23 that we covered the other day, that one's going to be much more hand size, much more iPhone 14 Pro like size. So definitely, if you want the sleekest, smallest one, that's going to be the one. And lastly, I'm going to show you this phone next to the Google Pixel 7 Pro. So that's another phone that's cheaper, but also in a similar size range, gives you a triple camera setup. So you can see right there, Pixel 7 Pro feels a little bit bigger, mostly due to the squared edges. It's just a pretty similar kind of feel in terms of the size to like an Ultra, to like the S23 Ultra, the Pixel 7 Pro. So this one's still a little sleeker. So I think that's what it really has in its strong suit, is sleek, thinner cameras, nice weight with a lot of versatility, but you just have to sacrifice the full HD screen. So that's it for me with the Galaxy S23 Plus first impressions. I'll be taking a look at the battery, the speed, the cameras. Let me know what you want to see on this phone going forward, and the phones you want to see it compared to. We'll be covering this one as well on the channel. Thank you very much for watching. If you have an S23 Plus, plan on buying one, share your thoughts, your questions, your comments down below. Subscribe for more. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.